Semi-finals of the UEFA Champions League have been concluded, and we have our finalists, Arsenal and PSG. And right here at Owa Sports, we're set to bring you all the juicy stories of what happened last night between Bayern Munich and PSG. I still remain your girl, your host, Chikeze Queen Choma, your sports goddess. And like I will always say, I am never doing this alone. I have right here with me the rugged analyst himself.
And once again, is Enrique Prosper, aka the Rugged Analyst. Welcome to the studio. Thank you very much for joining us.
Now, the UEFA Champions League semi-finals have been concluded. Yesterday, we saw PSG against Bayern Munich. Already, Arsenal were already waiting, and it's PSG that have joined them. First of all, after the first leg of this encounter produced 9 goals, seeing what happened yesterday, I mean, for me, I think it's the most boring semi-final second leg that I've seen.
I am surprised when I see people surprised that the game ended like that. Let me start on that note, because if you understand the dynamics of football, I wasn't expecting anything. I told somebody, I said, if that game produces more than 3 goals, I will be surprised.
Wow.
Because I've studied this PSG team, I know how they operate. Okay, we were discussing, and we know by now this football cliche that attacks win new matches, but defense win new trophies. We have come into that time of the competition where that reality is going to be enacted, and which is the same thing that brought Arsenal thus far. So PSG are also deploying the same tactics. We keep saying it that Bayern Munich have a better attack than PSG. There's no doubt. But the difference between these two teams is the solidity of the Paris Saint-Germain defense and the compactness of their midfield. So for me, I am in no way surprised that it was a low-scoring game, more entertaining than the first. Because I know that PSG are going to be reservative. They are already on a 1-goal different advantage. So they'll be waiting for Bayern Munich to come attacking. Then they will hit them on the counter. And it just worked to their game plan completely.
Now, coming to Bayern Munich specifically, because I mean, they were the one at home, went away to PSG, scored 4 goals. Personally, I was thinking
that back home there will be.
Yes, in fact, I did say that the worst thing that PSG did was allowing Bayern get back into that game, getting 2 goals back and having just 1 goal difference. Back home, that we were going to unleash at PSG. But looking at what Bayern did, I'm not even looking at the defense, because I know they are nowhere when you talk about the football. The midfield and the attack, the likes of Olise, Kimmich, they were not in that game. I was surprising. Even Luis Diaz, Harry Kane was more like, I don't know.
See, like if you understand this PSG team very well, they are hardly
even in the absence of Hakimi.
Yeah, they are hardly under any pressure. If you saw the way they set up in that game, they were relaxed.
True.
They were just comfortable, spying for anywhere there will be loopholes for them to exploit. And the mistake Bayern made was allowing PSG go ahead early in the game. So it made them to sit down and execute their game plan to perfection. So Bayern Munich were now the one under pressure in front of their home supporters to score 2 goals and be able to. So even when I saw the odds of the game and saw that the odds were favoring Bayern Munich by a big mile, I just smiled and said, this is just gimmicks. Because I know PSG. Luis Enrique is going to tell his boys to relax. Just calm down, let them bring the game to you, soak up the pressure and hit them on the counter. And the moment they got that goal, I knew it was going to be difficult.
Let's go to the officiating, right? I mean, a lot of fans, Bayern Munich fans especially, are crying foul over 2 incidents that would have led to a red card and a penalty. First, the one that would have led to a second yellow that would have resulted to a red card. Do you think that should have been given?
Okay. Here's the thing. This is my opinion. Okay? I understand the emotions and the concerns of the Bayern Munich fans and players. But here's the thing. These referees are usually educated, okay? That when the competition gets to this stage, from the semi-finals to the finals, dismissive decisions of that nature are usually reconsidered. That would have ordinarily been a foul if this was in the group stage.
Okay.
Okay, it would have been given because the implication wouldn't have been much. But I know from the way the phrase handles game that once it gets to the semi-finals, you have to be a little bit you have to reconsider before it has to be an obvious, undeniable case for you to be able to give it out. So my point is that I understand the referee for not giving the foul.
Now, the level of the game and the stage of the game should not, erase the fact that an offense was committed. I mean, it was a foul. It should have been given.
I know, but this is just, it happens in the game.
To the next one, that should have been a penalty. Or people are saying it should be a penalty. Looking at that game, shouldn't that be a penalty?
Like I said, football is a game of emotions. Okay, so I understand the Bayern Munich supporters and the players being all angry and wanting a penalty. But even with me not being a professional referee, I saw that on first hand and I said that wasn't a penalty. Because first of all, let's consider the traveling pattern of the ball. Okay, it wasn't towards the goal, it was away from the goal. Let's even leave the fact that it was the PSG player that played the game. The ball was never going to have any impact or effect on the goal. Assuming that ball was traveling towards the PSG's goal and that handball happened, there is no way VAR wouldn't have given it. But the flight of the game was from the goalpost away. So the question now is that the impact that his hand, Neves' hand had on the ball, is it going to give any positive or negative effect on the goal?
I understand what you're saying, right? But then, whether it's against or for, it's a handball. Okay, now consider the fact you talked about the implication of the movement of the ball. What if the clearance of that ball would have taken it to a Bayern Munich player's foot? That would have resulted to a counter. That would have given them a goal.
What if it never happened? So
all those should have been also considered.
It was considered.
Decision making.
Besides, I told you, even by the rule of the game, it was never going to be given. Because first of all, it was the PSG player that kicked the ball out of his 18 and then he touched his own player. So by the rule of the game, if your player kicks the ball and it touches your own player's hand, it cannot be given as a penalty. Assuming it was a Bayern Munich player that kicked that ball and then in his wanting to do, I remember Manchester United versus PSG. It was the same similar issue with Diogo Dalot and I've forgotten this PSG's player name again. When Dalot was shooting the ball towards goal and in his wanting to dodge, the ball hit his hand, and the VAR called the referee to say, look, something has happened there. But in this case, it was his own player that kicked it. So, like I said, I wasn't even considering that rule in the first place. I was looking at it from the common sense. Okay, the flight of the game was definitely going to impede on the decision of the ref to give the foul. So, Bayern Munich fans, it wasn't a penalty.
Well, if the rule says from your player to you shouldn't be an offense, well, we have to go by the rule because football is a game of rules.
Yeah.
So, PSG are in the finals of the UEFA Champions League. Already, Arsenal were waiting before yesterday. Now it is Arsenal or PSG versus Arsenal. It is the best defensive team in the UEFA Champions League this season versus the most explosive attack in the UEFA Champions League this season. Arsenal have considered the least number of goals. PSG have scored the more number of goals. Are we going to be seeing one of the most entertaining or most boring UEFA Champions League finals ever?
To be honest, my heart is telling me Arsenal, but my head is telling me PSG. So I'm looking at it as, but if there is one thing Arsenal should try and avoid is what happened to Bayern Munich.
Exactly.
You can't afford to concede early against PSG.
True.
Because they have the defense to sustain your pressure. True. And Arsenal don't have the attacking prowess like Bayern Munich. So if Bayern Munich were struggling to really threaten the defense of the PSG side, then Arsenal are going to struggle if they should make that same mistake.
Okay, I agree with you in the area of making the mistake of allowing PSG to score you first. When it comes to attacking prowess, I think there's one advantage that Arsenal has. Unlike Bayern Munich will always rely on Olise, Harry Kane, and Luis Diaz to score the goals for them. But it's different for Arsenal. This season, I think Arsenal have had about 6 or more players scoring, different players scoring in the Champions League. And when you talk about the midfield, even though I think that PSG has compatibility, but I think Arsenal midfield are more compact than that of the PSG. From what the stats says, right? And I think if they're able to calm down, especially in the middle of the park, they have the defense, they have the midfield to be able to absorb whatever PSG will bring. If they're able to calm their head and stay in the game, I think we're going to be seeing something.
Yeah, I know. Look, it's going to be an exciting final. There is no doubt about that. It's going to be an exciting final. But if you look at these two teams, which of these two teams do you think will have that extra bite, that extra edge
Extra
to
light
produce?
might not even.
I know
go
it's
for
a final.
yeah.
Okay, we don't know which way the wind will blow towards, but it's going to be an open game somehow. I just feel Paris Saint-Germain will just have that edge over Arsenal in the final.
Well, anyway,
It can go either way.
go either way. But I seriously feel like personally, I especially feel like Arsenal have an edge, especially the goalkeeper, David Ryan. He'll be a very pivotal factor to whatever happens on the finals.
You should also be very, very careful
And he should
because
be careful.
PSG is a pressing team. One single mistake and you're done. So it's all right.
All right, we are waiting for the finals. PSG versus Arsenal, and that will be on the 30th day
Of May.
And one more thing I would say is this: if Arsenal secures the Premier League,
Yeah, it will
on
boost
the
their morale
24th,
towards
then I
Champions
think
League.
it will go a long way to boost their morale. And that's what we call it a wrap on the show today. But like I will always say, follow us on all social media handles: X, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment. Let us know, who do you think would be the winner of the UEFA Champions League 2025-2026 season? Arsenal or PSG? And let us know why you made your choice. Stay tuned to this channel. We'll bring you more exciting discussions.